Hey everybody, Brendan here, the Gut Whisperer, and in today's video, I want to be talking about two things. One, the inability to make a big decision or make a big change, and two, the inability to commit to something long-term if they're working towards a goal, for example, or maybe like following a program. It's very, very common right now, and I'm seeing a lot of it in conversations that I'm having with new clients and new prospects and enrolling new clients. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing my take on why I feel as though a lot of these individuals are challenged and what's kind of like the mechanism behind it. I'm going to be talking about gut health and brain health. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Brendan. I help professionals achieve weight loss, lose systemic inflammation, relieve their joint pain, all while fixing their gut. If you've got digestive issues, you're fluctuating between chronic constipation and diarrhea, heartburn, bloating, distension, all of those we address and we fix by starting at the gut. So here's my take. So first, let's talk about some common obstacles that people are faced with when trying to make a big decision or being able to commit to something long-term. IBS, IBD, chronic bowel disease, basically, depression, anxiety, being overweight, having low energy, lack of personal self-belief, what they perceive to be in the way from preventing them from actually committing or making the decision. And finally, running their story. So I'm going to expand on all of those points right now. So IBS, IBD, anytime someone has a chronic bowel condition, they're always running to the washroom, they don't know when they're going to go, that puts a huge, huge toll on your psyche. And as your whole persona, you almost lose an identity of yourself because you're always thinking about going to the washroom. You don't know if you're going to have an explosion out of your pants. Your stomach is always distended. You just really lose your sense of identity. I get it. I was there once. I know what it's all about. So that can play a huge role on your psyche and a huge impedance on your ability to make a decision or even commit to something long-term because you just don't know when you're going to go run to the washroom. You feel like shit. Depression. Whether you're scrolling on the phone all the time, you watching TV all the time, you're watching movies, you're watching other people live out their lives and you're not living out your life, that's depression ultimately. If you're not really fulfilled, if you're not living congruent to what you truly want to do, let's say you got a dead-end job and you hate it, that can lead to depression. And these times right now, especially what happened over the last 2 years, that caused a lot of people to be depressed. Losing friends, losing loved ones, losing a job, a breakup, a death in the family, that can lead to depression. Not being able to find a job, there's so many things that can lead to depression, but at the same time, in my world, gut health is a huge correlation to being depressed. So we're going to expand on that. Anxiety, replaying something that happened in the past and magnifying something to what it really wasn't, that's anxiety. Or anticipating something in the future that hasn't even happened yet. Just anticipating something dangerous, scary, fearful that hasn't even happened yet. That's all anxiety. And we really need to focus on just living in the present. The more present you are, the more fulfilled you are at doing things that you truly, truly love to do, the more you're active, the more you're taking action, the less sedentary of a lifestyle you have, the less anxiety you're going to have. So we're going to talk about that. Being overweight. Being overweight sucks, right? I have never been overweight, but I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients who have been overweight, and I understand their struggles. You don't feel comfortable in your clothes, you don't like going out, you feel as though people are always judging you, you feel uncomfortable going to a gym, you don't even know when to start, you feel uncomfortable when you're going to the grocery store, you feel like you're being judged. I get it. I've heard it all the time. So that can play a huge, huge role, so much that it's almost like you're just throwing in the white towel and giving up because you don't even know where to start, right? I get it. So being overweight sucks. It could be a very, very, preventative factor from you taking action or committing to anything, but there's hope at the end of the tunnel. Low energy. Again, if you feel like a bag of potatoes, you're not going to be very motivated to make a big change. You're not going to be very motivated to even commit to something just because your energy sucks so much. You got kids, school, work, job, boss, night shift. I get it again. And also, gut health plays a huge, huge role. The less healthy your gut is, the more tired you're going to be because your body's always going to be processing stuff to try to get rid of it. I'll explain that in a little bit later. Lack of personal belief. This is huge. If you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to be able to chase those dreams. You're not going to be able to work towards something. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to work towards anything. That's where anxiety comes in. That's where sedentary lifestyle comes in. If you don't love yourself, who's going to love you? Right? The world is absolutely abundant with love and unconditional love. But if you don't love yourself, and if you don't really have belief in yourself, it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone else to believe in you. So we got to work on that. What you perceive is in the way and preventing you from actually achieving your goals. And more times than not, what we perceive things to be in the way, it's actually not in the way at all. It's on the way. It's just a different mindset, right? Things that are challenging you, people that are challenging you, not enough money, living with your parents, being arrested, going to jail, having a traumatic experience happen to you. It's not what's happening to you, but it's not in the way. It's what's on the way, right? Your setbacks become your comebacks. So just try to think every single challenge that you're faced with, it's put you where you are right now, and it's made you the person that you are right now. So think of them as obstacles, not things that are in the way. And finally, running your story. I see this all the time, especially when prospects or people send me a message and it's like a long-winded, I've got this has happened, this has happened, blah, 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 blah. It's like, stop. As one of my mentors says to me, the more you run your story, the more you're a victim of your history, not a master of your destiny. That's Dr. John DeMartini. I can't claim that quote. That's his. But I'm going to say it again. The more you run your story, the more you keep on repeating the reasons why you are who you are, is you literally become a victim of your history. You almost take ownership to that. And you don't want that. Rather than being a master of your destiny. All of those things are obstacles. They're not in the way, they're on the way. And like I said, so stop running your story right now. Because the more you run your story, the more you're just going to own it. And you become identified as that. For example, let's say you're dyslexic or you couldn't read in school. If you keep on saying, oh, I was dyslexic in school, you're never going to learn how to read, right? But if you say that I was challenged at reading, but now I'm a good reader, whatever I read, I retain, then you start to own that. And then you start to read things that you're really, really interested in. It's only a mindset, okay? So never run your story. Or if this video, if you're hearing this right now, stop. Stop running your story, take ownership, and now just change. That's it. Now, let's talk about mind health, brain health, and gut health. Okay, so this right here is a small diagram of the digestive process. We're not talking about the whole digestive process. I'm not labeling things. I've got tons of other videos for that. I just want you to understand the digestive process is one of the key players in your mental health. As well, this is a picture of the brain. And your ability or inability to make a decision is very dependent on how your brain is functioning. So here's the thing. If you've got, let's say, compromised digestion, if you're not absorbing your foods, if you're fluctuating between chronic constipation and diarrhea, if you've got a leaky gut, if you've got an autoimmune condition, if your hormones are all out of whack, maybe you've been taking multiple doses of antibiotics, maybe you've been on birth control for years and years and years. All of those are going to have a huge impact on not only your gut microbiome, not only your first brain, I call this your first brain, it will have a direct impact on your actual brain between your shoulders. Because neurotransmitters, hormones, stress hormones, they're largely produced in the gut. And they dictate to the brain how the rest of the body is going to function. Also, if you've got a toxic brain, if you are constantly having negative thoughts, if you're watching bad horror movies, or if you're exposing yourself to naughty websites, if you are consuming drugs and narcotics and alcohol, then the brain is not going to function properly because the whole gut and that digestive process is being exposed to those chemicals. It's complete negative feedback, right? So the more you've got a leaky gut, the more you're gonna have a leaky brain. The more you're gonna have a leaky brain, the more you're gonna have stress hormones telling the whole body to sort of extinguish all of the inflammation that's happening. As a result, you're gonna get diarrhea, for example. It's just constantly negative feedback. So what's happening is this whole negative feedback loop is preventing you from making a decision. I get it. You're not motivated. because both are not working properly. So I'm going to share with you a solution right now. Solution: big change requires big action. So whatever it is that you're doing right now, you've got to just completely change, because whatever it is that you're doing, it's not working. You require a huge change, but that also requires a big mindset shift, which brings me to education, research. Plant seeds mentally. Listen, you can follow me on social media, you can watch my YouTube videos, you can read my book, but I also implore you to find other teachers, find other YouTube channels, find other motivational speakers, start to find other nutritionists. You've got to start to surround yourself with people that you want to sort of become, or people that you resonate with. Because the people that you're currently hanging out with right now, they're giving you the results that you're getting. Whatever it is that your brain is absorbing, your body is expressing. So this is huge. In order for you to achieve big change, you got to start following the right people and the right platforms and start to plant those seeds and nourish the idea of big change. Then, decision making. Don't think about it. Just do. I'm going to say this again. Decision making. Don't think about it. More times than not, the more you think about it, the more you're going to have negative talk and self-talk to prevent you from actually making the decision. Decision happens in blink of an eye. Easy to say yes, and it's easy to say no. Yes, no, no, yes. There. Easy. So when you say yes, you put yourself in a different state of vibration. You already start to attract new opportunities and ways to maybe afford something, or maybe to attract that new job opportunity, because you've already put yourself in a state of yes. And at the same time, once you've put yourself in a state of yes, now you're going to start to eat better foods. You're going to start to take better care of yourself. You're going to start to go for walks. You're going to start to exercise more. Fear. I'm scared. I don't want to. That's just fear. If you actually, fear, get this, fear exists in the future. Fear exists from the past. Fear does not exist in the present. So really, you've got to change fear into excitement. You are excited and nervous about the big change that you are going to put yourself through, which is excitement. It's great. Hire an expert so you can actually rely on someone. Don't listen to your friends. Don't listen to someone that's going to give you advice that doesn't practice what they preach. Someone that you trust is literally right around the corner, whether it's in a book, whether it's, they live in a different state or a different province. Remember, you can hire them, maybe locally or distance. But you got to find someone that actually walks the talk, someone that actually lives the life like they're a walking billboard. Don't just be suckered into, people that are topless and that's looking like good health, because really that's not the case. You got to look a little bit deeper. Find someone that you resonate with. Find someone that's authentic. 30 days. Understand 30 days to break an old habit, and it takes 60 days to form a new one. So often when I work with clients, this is why it's more of a long-term relationship. If they only do 30 days with me, a lot of times they're going to want to go back in the old ways, right? But it takes 60 days. So days 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 29, 30, those are kind of sticky days because it's very easy to fall back in your old ways. Your ego wants to pull you back and do what you're used to doing, right? So understand that it takes 30 days to break old habits and it takes 60 days to form new ones. And finally, being able to link whatever it is that you truly, truly love to things that you're challenged with. For example, I don't like necessarily going to take a cold shower. It's a challenge. However, I'm linking it to my health. I'm linking it to my brain function. I'm linking it to my motivation. What you can perceive as something's challenging, as long as you can link it to something that you're truly inspired to do, you'll actually do the things that you're challenged and you'll actually enjoy them. You'll literally go through pain and pleasure equally. For example, let's say a mom absolutely loves her kids. Little baby shits himself. Mom unconditionally wipes baby's butt without a blink of an eye, without a hesitation, maybe a little muffle, but she still loves that baby. Why? Because she's inspired to be an amazing mom, right? Same thing for maybe a hockey player or a baseball player. They're inspired to become that professional athlete and they're willing to do like the suicide runs. They're willing to put in the early morning rising practices. They're willing to go through that pain. They're willing to maybe run in a rainstorm. Whatever it is that you're truly, truly inspired to do, if you're able to link some of the challenging things, for example, weight loss. If you want to look awesome in a bikini, then you got to fall in love with putting in the sweat at the time at the gym. It's pretty simple. And then finally, this is where it all comes in my world, the gut. Understanding that we need to completely break this negative feedback loop. When you're depressed, when you have anxiety, when you have IBS or IBD or constipation, or any form of chronic inflammatory bowel condition, whether you've got heartburn always, or GERD or reflux or distension, anxiety, being overweight, low energy, if you lack personal belief, if you're always running your story, all of these things are perpetual negative feedback loops that's putting you in a state of ongoing inability to actually make a big decision and inability to actually commit to it long term. So that's why I've created my Gut Reset program. It's a 45-day comprehensive program where I actually teach you what true nutrition is, how to actually heal and seal a gut, how to completely reset this whole negative feedback loop and break that cycle to put you in a better position to actually make these even bigger decisions, to put you in a position to actually attract new opportunities, new money, new jobs, new relationships. Everything happens from the gut. And when you've got a good solid foundation of new health, good proper gut function, the world completely opens up. I absolutely assure you. I've treated thousands and thousands of clients, and they've all had amazing results by resetting their gut. And then by doing so, they literally accomplish whatever it is that they want to. So if you found this valuable, hit a like, hit a subscribe, and comment if this sounds like you. If you want to break that feedback loop, just say break the loop, and then we can reach out and we can have a discussion. Gut Whisperer out.